So the real poll is on election day, not true. But what have those other polls been saying in the meantime, and what do they mean? I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thanks so much for joining me. Time for tea. So two very different poll results coming out days before election day. Some people are happy with one, some people are happy with the other. What do you think? Let's take a look. Let's start with the RGR Gleaner done and it's some polls, and just a reminder for you that I do work with the RGR Gleaner group. So the data I have for RGR Gleaner goes back for a little while, right? So just looking at this, you can see us coming from February 2024 down to the end of August. So in February 2024, 24% of people polled said they would vote JLP, 23% PNP, and you see uncommitted at this point pretty high at 53%, which is natural so far from an election. April 2024, 29% said JLP, 36.8% said PNP, 33.9% were uncommitted. September 2024, 30.2% were saying they would vote JLP, 39.3% said PNP, 30.5% uncommitted. And if you recall, the thinking here was that the PNP's numbers were very high around this point because they had just come out of their annual conference and they were getting a lot of press at around that time. February 2025, now the JLP was polling at 30.7%, the PNP at 34.5%, uncommitted 34.2%. June 2025, JLP was at 29.6%, PNP at 32.6%, uncommitted 38%. Now in July 2025, the JLP was polling at 33.9%, the PNP at 34.7%, uncommitted dropped pretty sharply at this point, showing up at 14.3%. And the pollsters were in the field from August 22 to 26. The JLP was polling at 34.5, the PNP at 37.6, uncommitted at 23.1. Margin of error for all these polls is plus or minus 3%. Now, the nationwide Blue Dot polls most recently released, the pollsters were in the field from August 19 to 27, and they showed JLP with a 13-point lead over the PNP, polling at 46%, PNP at 33%, 20% saying they were undecided. Now, people usually say about polls that they're just a snapshot, meaning all they tell you is what people are thinking or feeling on one particular day, which is the day they were polled. And of course, that's true. And I'm going to say that is even more true of this particular election cycle. And let me show you what I mean. Look at this table I've put together for you of major events that happened during this campaign period. So on July 30, the JLP launched what it called its Record of Achievements, a little booklet where the PM on the street talking to people, handing out booklets, and they got a whole heap of press around this, right? On August 10 now, the PM actually called the election date, so everybody now knows that things serious. They have a date, everybody can start really fix their mind on who or what they want to vote for, if indeed they're going to be voting. 2 days later, the PNP launched its manifesto, so it really was in the news cycle in a big way at around this time without much to compete with it. I mean, the JLP Record of Achievements was there, but the manifesto is something new, so you're going to have some more press around that. And that really continued up until the social issues debate, which was on August 23. Up to this point, the JLP manifesto still hadn't been launched. Now, the JLP launched its manifesto the following night, August 24, and announced its big tax plan, which is that it was going to reduce the income tax rate from 25% to 15%. Now, normally that would get a whole heap of press and just suck up all the oxygen out of the news cycle, except the PNP countered by announcing its own tax plan the very same night, that it was going to increase the income tax threshold to 3.5 million. So what you then had was the PNP interrupting the JLP's news cycle, and you had everybody talking about both tax plans and comparing them. In addition, the day after the JLP launched its manifesto with that tax plan, right, the PNP launched what they call their manifesto light. So again, they're still getting some more press than you would normally have expected at this time. And of course, everybody's still talking about both tax plans. This goes right up into the debates which were continuing. So August 26, you had the economy debate, and then the big one, the leadership debate, was August 28. And then on August 31, now the JLP announced that it plans to double the minimum wage. So look at what's going on here now. The fieldwork for the Don Anderson polls was August 22 to 26. So at least some of the respondents, if you were polled on August 22, for instance, you would have missed all the debates, you would have missed both tax plans as well as the minimum wage announcement. Even for the people interviewed on the very last day of polling for Don Anderson, which was August 26, they would have still missed the leadership debate and the minimum wage announcement. In the case of the nationwide Blue Dot polls, the last day of polling was August 27, so they missed the leadership debates as well and the minimum wage announcement. So both polls missed some of the most significant events of the campaign period just because of how polling works. You have to put your people in the field, them have to do the work, you have to pull them out, you have to get the data, you have to analyze the data, you have to publish the data. Honestly, I don't think we can rely on either of these polls to give us a very strong indication of what's going to be happening on election day, and that's simply because so many things have been happening, so many consequential announcements have been made. You would have to say how each of these would impact the electorate or impact various sectors of voting. So for instance, when the PNP announced that it was not going to be taxing tips on overtime, you can expect that would resonate with a certain sector of the society, hotel workers a lot, for instance. The minimum wage announcement, you can expect again that would resonate with minimum wage earners. So there's a whole lot that's been going on that I don't think the polls have been capturing. So I think we're really and truly going to have to wait to see what happens on Wednesday, September 3rd. Having said that, let's just take a look at the latest voting intention. In other words, if people intended to vote. In the recent RGR Gleaner Don Anderson polls, people were asked if they intended to vote. 55.5% of people said yes, 28.3% said no, not sure said 16.6% no. Again, remember the last general election, COVID was in the middle of a pandemic, so we had voter turnout at an all-time low of 38%. It's widely expected we will see an increase on that number, but also in the 2016 election, for the first time, we saw voting fall below that 50% threshold. So the question is going to be, will we get back above 50%? Will we be in 40s, low 40s, high 40s? What will we see? Well, of course, when the day comes, we'll know. And of course, I'm keeping an eye on everything for you. Come back here to see what's been going on. I'm Dion Jackson Miller. Thank you so much for watching. Drop your comments below. Like the video, share it with somebody you think might be interested. And of course, subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so you know anytime I drop a new video. I'm Dion. Thank you so much for watching. Back to tea.